You know the old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words? Well, this picture tells a story. It tells a story about a man who has lost all hope in this moment. It tells a story of a Batman without his Robin against an arch rival Joker, of a defeatist mindset, a non-leader, of taunting, pouting, childlike antics compiled into one irony-filled embarrassment. Let's talk about Joel Embiid, shall we? Disclaimer, this is not a Joel Embiid slander video. If you know me, you know I am one of the biggest Joel stans out here in the world. Ask my mans Dewan during high school when Joel Embiid was first drafted and didn't play for 2 seasons coming out of college. When everybody called him the next Greg Oden, I always held him down, always held Joel Embiid down and said he is going to be the savior of the Sixers. I used to tell boys, yo, you are sleeping on this man. As the boys back in Syracuse University, when I would debate time and time again, Knicks fans, that Joel Embiid would be better than Kristaps Porzingis. Guess who was right about that? And hell, I didn't know if all my predictions were going to come to fruition. I was banking on hope that a boy who loved his team could finally catch a break with a potential all-time generational talent. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, we were right. Joel Embiid is that boy. He did fulfill the prophecy. But I kind of feel like a lot of Philly fans, Sixer fans, give him a break, give him too much slack, and no one calls him out on his BS. In life, sometimes you need to critique things you love, not for the unnecessary need to be a head ass, but for their growth, especially when they have so much potential. No one is above criticism, not even the process. The Philadelphia 76ers will not get over the playoff hump until Joel Embiid grows the fuck up. Let's look at the film, shall we? This series got me so mad with Joel. There is no reason why you are like this in game 2 of a series against your rivals on national television. We all know that the 76ers were outmatched during this playoff series. You can even look at my Instagram page where I was excited to announce those games. We all knew, like, without Ben, it was going to be hard to cover all of those wings. I knew after game 2 we were going to get swept. You don't do that. This showed that Joel Embiid does not have leadership skills, and that's a problem. That is a big problem. When you are down and out, and you need to look at something for inspiration, as a role player on the team, and you see your big man, your leader in this fight, acting like on the floor. What are you going to do on your team? You're not going to care. And once again, I understand he didn't have any help, but you're a superstar, bro. You're the franchise big man, and you are the heart and soul of a team. You play your hardest. You don't whine on the court like a child when things don't go your way. When the series isn't even over, you still fight. You still give a damn. Not going full throttle, not playing defense, not going for 50-50 balls, allowing the Celtics to get boards. Your energy feeds off of everyone around you. That's an indictment on his love of the game. Straight up, bro. I saw so many boys saying, oh, I feel bad for JoJo. Bro, he's a top 3 center in the league. What are you talking about? Like, why? Like, if you're all of that, you should be able to carry your team and win a game. No excuses. Especially against the Celtics, who hand our butts on a platter every single year. At least take 1 game from the Celtics. At least 1 game. Joe's lack of pride, that kind of, bumped my love for him down, which is why you see the cover art on my channel. I will never forgive Joel Embiid for that until, we get over the playoff hump and he steps up, dog. But that was just drawing. Like, we all know Joel Embiid is a taunting savant. He loves to get under his opponent's skin, and that helps feed into his game. Roll the clips.
Out of any Sixer defender, I don't think he was doing much talking. Got to talk.
No problem for Embiid.
Now, for context, this game was the first game that the Sixers played within the NBA bubble last year. In case y'all forgot how important that game was to the whole overall year, let me rewind back. We playing the Indiana Pacers. We are tied for the 5th seed. It is a put up or shut up game. It is going to show if the Sixers are truly about their business. And if the Sixers lose that game, it will speak volumes to how much trouble the Sixers will be in the rest of the way. Wow. We would eventually go on to lose. And I, for one, believe it was because of this moment right here when Joel Embiid dunked and did his little childish antics. You see how much we are up at this time? Why are you taunting at this moment in the game? You give people fodder to come back on you, bro. And it's like, bulls say that taunting helps Joel play better. What does that matter if we lose those games anyway? Like, what? Rolling his head like a Q. You ain't D9, dog. Shout out to the good bros, by the way. Yo. Let's look at the next video.
They have blown it open. Embiid fakes, Embiid down the lane.
We're in a tight playoff series, and Joel Embiid does his little airplane, JJ the jet plane routine. We all know how the series ended. What is the point of this, bro? You always have a target on your back anyway. Stop giving these teams an excuse to come beat your butt. Literally giving them energy. You have Drake over here with all of his getting million fans getting even more, taunting him with the same JJ the jet plane move he did 2 games earlier. But it's like, then he goes to the bench and it's sad. Like, come on, Joel. What did you expect? You technically caused this. Come on, bro. You better than this. Especially since this, series kept going back and forth momentum-wise. When he taunts, he loses focus. And when he loses focus, we tend to lose games. This has to change. This one has less to do with his childlike antics, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it needs to be said so he can take the next step as a great basketball player. I know I'm not the only one who hates a Joel Embiid flop. He flops as much as a fish out of water. He flops more than a Playboy Cardi album of a specific color. He flops more than Mitt Romney during a 2012 presidential election. Joel Embiid flops a lot, guys. First off, it's absolutely absurd that he wails his arms around and gets knocked down by guards who are half his size. That's number one. And number two, when he does flop and the refs don't call charges, it creates a fast break for the other team to get points. I've seen this many times in Sixers games, and it's like, come on, Joel, that's just not high basketball IQ. But that's it, though. I had to get that off my chest. Honestly, I could care less about his social media antics. That's him. We are in 2020, 2021 almost. If you don't expect your superstar player to be on Twitter, then you're being unrealistic. Now, if you want to have a debate that he's on it too much, I tend to agree with you. Regardless, crying to the media saying that he doesn't have fun as a franchise big, going back and forth on that feeling and using that as an excuse of why he's not playing well, or at the very least why he is inconsistent. That should be a little concerning to us fans. Him maturing will place him within an even-keeled state where he's not too high, but not too low, and he can play his best game. Opponents are never going to lay down for him just because he's Joel Embiid. He has to realize this. Joel will be Joel, and I don't want him to change his infectious, fun-loving swagger that he brings to the court and the table, but at some point, something has got to give. Whether he likes it or not, his team looks up to him, and his energy, whether good or bad, is infectious. Imagine if he played like a mad son of a gun all of the time, focused and doing his thing. We saw this during the Washington Wizards game. You see how determined he was and how he went to work? Even with his team down, he didn't pout. He didn't act like a man-child. Our last game against the New York Knicks in the first and second quarters, when the offense was flowing through him and he was downing shot after shot after shot, not taunting his opponent, even though the Knicks are a lesser team. Things can change. We see something in him. Now it's up to Joe to see it for himself. And I bet you he knows this going into his fourth and most crucial year of his on-court partnership with Ben Simmons. So yes, maybe a picture can say a few things about us. Maybe it can talk about our immaturity, or maybe our just pure joy of having fun. Regardless what you think, it should never define us as players or people. Who knows? Maybe it can just be a snapshot of what was and a reminder of how far we came.